bit about the history of this. The original recipe was from my mother and started with 65 eggs. She made it in a trapezoidal shaped wooden trough that was made by a local carpenter. In her 70 years of life, she went through 2 of them. He had to make her 2 of them. I have never been brave enough to try 65 eggs because you end up with about 25 to 30 loaves of bread, which she distributed to the whole town, much to our dismay because she was the queen of Easter bread. She made the best. Over the years, when I reached about 25 and decided I needed to learn how to bake this, I went and sat with her and went through her original recipe, which I have available, which I have never made. And I translated her measurements, which was a pinch of this, a whiskey glass of that, and I translated it into a recipe. And then I worked on cutting it down so that us mere mortals could make it in our kitchen for a smaller group of people. And over the years, I have tweaked the recipe to keep up with the technology that's available to us to make our life easier in the kitchen. And so I have several variations, and this is the latest variation of it, which uses a big mixer, and it does not start with 65 eggs. All right, what we have here is 6 pounds of dough that was allowed to retard and raise overnight in a cool place. Because it's a very heavy, rich dough, it takes a long time to raise. So we have 6 pounds of dough that will make 3 2-pound loaves that will fit in these pie pans, which I believe is a 10-inch or maybe a 12-inch pie pan. The pie pans are greased, and Pam is your friend. That's their point. I tend to weigh mine out, though if you don't have a scale, you can just eyeball it. So we want 2-pound pieces. Okay, that's not quite 2 pounds. There we go, there's 1. And set each aside in a little floured section. So that wasn't quite 6 pounds, it was closer to 5. So I'm going to divvy it up so they're about equal. And that's good. They're about equal size now. So we can get rid of that. And now what we're going to do is roll each one, and we're going to keep the board floured. We're going to roll each one. And the way my mother did it was she would roll them to the width of her wrist. Okay, but her wrist and my wrists are different widths. So what we want to do is roll it to fit in the pan. But this dough needs to rest as you work it because it becomes elastic from the gluten. So I'm going to work with one, put it aside for a minute, and then I'm going to work with the second one. Okay, so we just want to roll it into a log. And these are not long enough yet, but they will be. Okay, you can stop for a minute now. We're going to take a little break. Okay, so all 3 have been rolled once, and now I'm back to my original one. These two are resting a bit. And this is a little over 20 inches long. You can make these smaller if you want smaller loaves, at which point, so 20 inches isn't quite long enough to fit in there, so to make it even a little bit longer. Okay. And they don't have to fit all the way to the edges. Put them in, and then you want to join the ends just by pinching the dough. And you just keep working them around to try to keep the dough even. And that's actually pretty good. And then my little secret is this is a oven-proof pudding jar. You could use anything that would fit in the oven, and it's going to help keep the center open. And you're just going to drop it in the middle. And as this dough rises, it will fill up. Okay, so all three have been panned. This is a 10-inch pan, and the rolls ended up to be 24 inches to fit. And you got a picture of that, right? So we're going to cover them with a clean towel and let them rise probably anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. It's a very heavy, rich dough, so you just have to be patient. And we will pick it up from there. Before we put these in the oven, I want to talk for a minute about the dough that rested overnight. I made this dough yesterday afternoon around 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And because it takes so long to raise, it's such a rich dough that we let it raise overnight in the coolest place in the house, but not the refrigerator. This dough has 3 rises, so it rose overnight, and then around 5 a.m. this morning, it was deflated and brought into the kitchen where it's a little warmer and allowed to raise the second time, which took about 2 to 3 hours, and it really depends on the temperature of your home. And then we formed it and panned it, which you have seen. So now it has risen another 2 hours, and it's ready to go in the oven. And I've made an egg wash with just an egg yolk and a tablespoon of whole milk. And I'm going to brush each of them so they'll get a nice glaze on them, and it'll help seal where we pinch them together. It will help seal them. So we're going to just quickly do this. Once we put them in the oven, they will cook at 350 degrees for 35 to 40 minutes. But about the 20-minute mark, I will probably rotate them because 1 will be on the top and 2 will be in the middle so that they get evenly browned. I'll rotate them. Okay, they're ready to go in the oven now. And we have a finished product here. These baked for 25 minutes, and then I rotated them for another 12 minutes. And you want to be careful not to overcook them because, as you can see, the bottom gets quite brown. Another 2 or 3 minutes, it would have been burnt. So you want to watch them the last few minutes. And that's the finished product.
Welcome to town, take a look around. Now sir, put the money in my hand right now, cause right now's the time for that roulette spinning and talking, walking to women till I'm opening it. Using a pinch and a passion, rolling right up in the center with the dash blowing on until they say I'm the winner if you dig it. Dug it while the blackjack is flipped in my black stack of chicks with 25%.
Let's go to Vegas, baby. Let's go tonight.
Let's go tonight.
Let's go to Vegas. We'll stay up all night. Let's go to Vegas, baby. Let's get away. Who wants to live forever when we can have the day? It's raining in the city. We got bills to pay. Packing up a suitcase. Let's take a holiday. Hop into a limo. Drive on through the night. The desert sky is cold, but the neon lights burn bright. Flying on a Friday. Rent that baby Benz. Taxi to the 15 West on Charleston. Shopping at the Forum, Versace and Vuitton. Honey, this is Vegas, so bring your credit card. Let's go to Vegas, baby. Let's go tonight. Let's go to Vegas. We'll stay up all night. Let's go to Vegas, baby. Let's get away.
Let's get away.
Who wants to live forever when we can have the day? Flying for the weekend, breathe that desert air. Found a love nation, I will take you there.
I'll take you
Up
there.
the Eiffel Tower, sipping on my time.
My time.
You deserve the finer things.
Hey.
Let's go roll the
Hey,
dice.
soon as you see the neons, know that we on. Pop bottles with top models and the things you see me on. And we gone and force with hit from Miss Dion and be gone again. I got things to spend cheese on this Vegas, man. We got to go. Those $1,000 trips to the Bellagio. You got to know, is we throwing up cash out of the slide back room with the stash in the back. Hit the Venetian, tweaking, stack chips like cashes and grab rolling in winning again. This actress is passing, asking who this cat is. Within an hour, got her back on top of my mattress. That's how it goes, man. It's Vegas, dude. And the women saying, don't get what we make them do. Damn it, I'm wasted. But you know what they say, shit, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Let's go to Vegas, baby. Let's go tonight. Let's go to Vegas. We'll stay up all night.
Alright.
Let's go to Vegas, baby. Let's get away.
Let's get away.
Who wants to live forever when we can have the day?
Say ya, me and my dudes at the Marriott, chillin' and drink spillin'. So what you say, ma? Come down, women like Baywatch, roll the Doja in the poster of Oklahoma. So allow me to introduce the life. Money throwing and shots blowing around all night. But in truth, all we do is gonna stay with me and you. They say Vegas is the city where your dreams come true.